Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript party and my buddy Rhett. She's all done with her pecan that I gave her today. I think it's called, no, it's an almond I gave her. So almonds have a very soft shell. And so she can just wipe one of those things out in no time. Not a pecan. A pecan I think I would have to also crack for her. They have pretty hard shells. Sometimes she can get them, sometimes she can't. And like sunflower seeds are just like a lot of work for her, so maybe that might be the way to go. She doesn't like salted sunflower seeds. She likes unsalted. So we are moving down this unit test path. Gives us a lot to think about. I will say that I have changed some of my. It looks like Rhett's going to be a little, a little, a little feisty today. Are you going to be feisty today, Rhett? Are you going to be feisty? Well, maybe. I don't know. She's just giving me the evil eye now. See if I can rotate her off of whistles and onto snaps. There we go. Yeah, snapping. That's much better. And then kissing is good too. What do kisses? It's kind of interesting because the way their beaks are and all that, I don't know how they make that sound. But anyways, because we kind of just do our lips together and make that sound. But But anyways, I have been like we've been sort of grinding through the unit tests and all that, and sort of been hyper aware of everything, that trying to be as aware of everything as possible to understand what's going on. And I will say that I did pick up a task at work, which is very, very front end orientated and sort of complex front end things. And it was amazing to me how much easier that task was for me because, I just started applying a lot of the principles that I've learned doing this. And I think that that is important. Right now, we are looking really good. Like, then nobody can complain. I think any, like in a professional environment, they would be like, okay, back off, quit doing unit tests. You've got 99.7%, 335 out of 336 statements. You have 34 out of 35 branches. You got 100% of the functions and 332 out of 333 lines. I think that's plenty. But let's just keep moving forward. It is kind of funny because in most things there's like a diminishing return. So as you do more of it, you get less from it. But it seems like with unit tests, it's the inverse. At least, okay, so as you do more, the less productive work gets done. But the more your brain gets sort of stimulated into thinking about advanced front end software concepts. So our problem is in this app service visualization section of the application, which is a bit confusing because there's also an app. I think there's a visualization service inside of the app components viz, wasn't there? Yeah, see, there's a visualization service there too. So it is a bit confusing from 30,000 feet. So if you're sitting at 30,000 feet like we are right now, it's kind of confusing. But now if you're working in here, it's not confusing at all, right? Because it's actually less confusing because you're like, okay, this is my service that does the work for this component. So maybe it might have made sense to name this visualization.component.service. You know, anyways, or maybe it would have made, what probably would have been the smarter thing to do was name this viz service.ts. And actually, I think that is the right decision. So let's come over here, and I think this is really super simple. So let's rename this viz. Now this is something that was I always bring this up because it was just an absolute nightmare. There was a point in time when it was just an absolute nightmare to make this sort of change. But now this analyzing visualization service and its dependencies, that kind of thing, it just works itself out nowadays. But let's go over here. I think this is probably the more useful view at the moment. So again, this is something we probably would never even contemplated if we weren't doing unit tests. And it's arguable whether it's actually useful. So now it should offer to update everything for me. Yes. I don't ever like doing always because I like to be told what it's going to do. Now my understanding is it won't. Sometimes it actually, well, like when it makes these updates, it actually saves it, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just like changes the code and then leaves it unchanged. And I don't know of a good way to tell that in this. Okay, so now the next thing we want to do is, I guess, we probably don't want to name this thing. Oh, wrong one. Biz service. Okay, so I named this component visualization service, so that's fine. I mean, there's a bit of an inconsistency there. I think I cannot think of a good reason to change this to Viz service, like from a practical perspective, only from an emotional perspective. And whatever, I think it's very clear. Now I kind of, maybe it would have been better to name this component visualization service. I do like the fact that the word component is in there, so I think that's good. So anyways, so that's that. Let's see where we are. We are at 8:35, so I still have some time. So let's go back. Let's reload this, see if it fixed it. So it did not fix that. So let's go ahead and come over here. And let's see what happens if I hit reload. We actually just named entire files. Let's see if it breaks this system here. So everything passed. So now let's hit reload. Yeah, see, I don't think that thing is named. It's not named visualization service anymore. It's named Viz, right? That's the name of the service. So yeah, it didn't seem to pick up that name change. So it's probably not actually testing stuff anymore. So let's get ourselves back to where everything is right as rain again. It looks like it. So it's a beautiful day. It's 8:36. I think the temperature, Microsoft has decided that I don't deserve to know the temperature outside anymore. Let me click on the click. So reward them for their being jerks. And they don't even have it on the page that pops up now. So they have literally taken a really good service that they used to provide and made it useless. I guess it makes sense just to get rid of this widget now. I wonder if I can how you get rid of it. They definitely don't make it easy to get rid of. But anyways, let's see, is this doing? Yeah, nope. Oh, it's still working. Hello world? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Looks like it's done now. Yep, so now it's Viz service. Okay, that makes sense. All right, back over here. So let's look at this code. Let's try to figure this out. So this is called calculate positions. I left myself some things to sort of note that, hey, something's going to go sideways if I have a single visualization that's wider than the viewport. Right now it's hard coded to 200 height per row. So that means if when I do advance this to where these things can change sizes, it's going to put this guy in the wrong place. It'll put it up too high. So that's like future. So this code is definitely going to change. So what do we need? Okay, so basically the problem here is I really don't want these two thises to be in there. And one of the thises is for a function or a method to get some code, and the other one is to get a value. The value is easy, right? We could just create another function and pass in the value. The code is a little more difficult, but really not. It's the exact same thing, I think. I think all we have to do is something that basically, if you worked at AngularJS, it's something that you just never heard them stop talking about, and it's called dependency injection. And I'll inject this. I can inject this function in there. Alternatively, I could make this a function that's inside of the method if is too wide is never going to be used anywhere else. So, basically, I don't know. I don't know if this is too wide has any value outside of this calculate function. So is this logic here, which is pretty simple. Like really all I have to do is take the left and the right and all that. So it's too wide. And basically the reason we want to do this is just so we can make this a little simpler to unit test. Um, so I feel like so having gone down this path a few times before in a few other sections, we figured out, hey, like this stuff all just gets a lot easier if you break down the code into smaller segments, and if you make the code where it's pure, where it doesn't have all, where it doesn't need access um, to the state of it doesn't need any of the attributes, the service attributes, where so basically if that's a fancy way of saying it won't need access, it doesn't need to be able to use this to get anything. So it looks like what we want to do is we want to go to a, and so that messed us up yesterday because we had two files by this name. Now having multiple files by the same name is just a reality in an enterprise. Like if you're working on a small project like this, it makes a lot of sense to say, hey, we're just going to have a basic rule that says no two files can have the same name. That whole idea is just shot. You just can't. It's a nice idea, but so anyways, and then we are talking about line 78. So let's go down to line 78. So first things first, we can easily just get the viewport width, right? We can get we can just say const viewport width is equal to that. And so the end goal here is to try to get where we can just pull this code out and it doesn't need access to this. So we've taken care of part of that. Now the other one is too wide. So can I create a constant for is too wide? I don't even know if this is possible. It seems everything in my brain tells me this should be very, very possible. It should be no big deal. And then can I just say is too wide? No, that's weird. So it's weird to me that like I can't just, did I miss, oh, spelling two. Okay, so now let's just make sure everything still works. It should still work. Yeah, so everything still works. So now this is pure. It doesn't need anything in there. So I can create another function, right? So it's kind of weird because the name is kind of the same. I mean, it's really doing the exact same thing, but it's like a private implementation. So private, and it actually sets them, right? Yeah, it actually set calculated. And that's going to return a void, I think. And as you notice, I am fairly inconsistent on whether this goes. When I worked for, let me see if I can figure out how to. Well, I needed to sneeze, but I wanted to like. Oh yeah, I could always use this thing to mute. So if I might have to mute here in a second. So when I worked for the federal government, and I used to work real hard, but I was just a contractor. I was not a federal employee. But when I worked there, I would. We had to have this on the next line. So sometimes I put it on the next line, and then sometimes I don't, because most of my career I have not put those on the next line. Sometimes it's really nice having it on the next line. It just like looks better, and sometimes it doesn't. But anyways, so now we have set calculated positions. And see, I don't want to make it private, I don't think, because I think I want to be able to call this directly from the unit tests. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to take all of this, all y'alls. I'm going to take all y'alls. It's one of my favorite things. One of my favorite Southern slangs. Although I was watching this show, I really like it. It's on Netflix. It's called North of North, and she said all y'alls in it, and she's an Inuit from like literally as far north as you can go on Earth. You know, it's this little village. It's way up north, and she said that, and it really cracked me up. Oh wait, so this. Okay, so I think we need the row. We don't want those two. Those two we need up here. And then we're going to need the viewport width and the is too wide. Which I can never remember how to do this. I think I can just say is function. And then viewport width, which is a number. Time is at 8:47. We're good. We good. And then I can just grab all of this. And then I could say this dot set. And I can just say the first one is too wide, and the second one is viewport width. And I think that should work. And then this should be super simple to unit tests after that, because like literally all we have to do is give it it's weird, where does it get the visual so it still needs access to this dot visualizations. But let's just make sure this still works first. Okay, so that still works. So we need this visualizations too. So so we're going to call them our visualizations. And those are ST visualizations. And functions. And then I guess there's really no benefit to this. This dot viewpoint. This dot is 2i. So this right here, I'm 99% sure this is exactly what we call dependency injection. We're passing in the function in, and then it's going to use that function. And I don't know if we need to do that or if we could have just copied this code up here. We could have just copied this, but we might need this is too wide somewhere else. And so if we need that is too wide somewhere else, then we'll want to just be able to get a reference to it and send it in. Or we might want to call it directly or whatever. So for now, we're doing that. So 850. Got work in 10 minutes. So I'm going to hit save. Okay, everything's working. And there's no this, right? Oh no, we still are using this. So let's get rid of the this. Oh, we got extra line there. Again, I wouldn't have even noticed an extra line if I didn't just get nailed on in previous jobs. My current job, they're pretty laid back with stuff like that. But I've had jobs where they would nail you for, like, there was people who just gleefully looked for those sites, those sorts of issues, because I don't know. But anyways, I think so. The is too wide function, we could further TypeScript that to where, like, it said that it was we're going to return a boolean and accept that. And I think we have some time, right? We have a couple minutes, so I always enjoy. I don't know why. I just really enjoy TypeScript and strongly typing things. It's kind of one of those things. Okay, so I have this function. I would like to pass it into another function. Let's see if it gives us the typings. And then, sorry about my dog. He's not feeling well. He's getting very, very old. So, and he was in really, really bad shape. But he is starting to recover a little bit. But he's pretty unhappy as he's recovering. What's wrong, Snoopy? What's the matter? But yeah, that's weird. Sorry about that, and I'm running out of time. Okay, like to strongly type it in the argument of the function I am using is too wide in. I am a much better developer with ChatGPT, but I don't think that result is too wide. That is interesting. I didn't know you would do that. So I can just force this thing to always have to use is too wide. Let's see if that works. Nope. Oh, I see. This. There we go. So that's nice. So basically, this, if you change the arguments in the isY, I'm fairly protected. The compiler will protect me if I were to just inadvertently change this. And over time, more functions could get up in here and they could end up really far apart from each other. So then, like, I think if I were to change this to fun Boolean and hit save, yeah, see, now it breaks. So that saves me from like some silly mistake down the road where I changed this and now the function's broken. But now I believe I'll be able to, it'll be easier to unit test this thing, I think. Because, I will have to send it in a function, an is2wide function, a view port width, and all that. And so let's go in here and let's just kind of make sure everything's still passing in unit tests. Apparently I have a unit test that does not actually do an expectation, so I need to do that. And it's crazy, because like how, really honestly, like how much can you actually see this little thing? But my eye is tuned to look for the slightly muted dot, and it just jumps out at me like it's a bright red thing. So anyways, it is 8:56, so I got to go. Got works to do. It's going to be a fun day, I think, at work. I'm definitely looking forward to my work today. I got to get rep put up, and then I start work at 9 in 4 minutes, and then I have stand up at 10, and then then I'm gonna be rocking and rolling all day long on some cool front end work that I get to work on. Anyways, happy coding, everybody. Bye.